Hi, it's Renee from Renee In Cancerland, and I am going to read to you my book, Renee In Cancerland, and we'll start on page 5, and I will read 5 to 7 minutes. Please, if you find inspiration from this, or if you know anybody who is dealing with cancer or any chronic illness, pass this along, because from what I have been told, people are getting some really good advice from this path I have lived on a long time. Here we go for today's reading. September 17th, 2008. Just breathe. Just breathe was all I could tell myself while sitting waiting to be called back to meet my new oncologist. A month ago, I didn't even know what an oncologist was, and now I had one. I sat there looking at the clientele and felt like a purple alien. I felt like people wouldn't look at me. Maybe they knew something I didn't know. Maybe they were afraid I was there by myself and I would leech onto them to hold me up. Maybe it was all a part of my imagination. I'm pretty sure no one cared that I was there by myself, but I felt like people were asking themselves, is she waiting for her mom? Nope, I'm here for me. Please look away. There's nothing to see here, is what I wanted to shout out in the waiting room. Of course I didn't, though. I rarely say anything I want out loud if it isn't something halfway nice. Instead, I said a lot of prayers in my head, but no spoken words. I watched a few people walk in for a class. I think it was a class on chemo, but I'm not 100% sure, as I couldn't hear all of the details. I was trying to look like I was reading a book and not fall out of my chair as I was leaning further and further over to hear more of what everyone was saying. I was sure this was the class I would eventually have to take. After filling out yet more paperwork, I tried to actually read this time. That didn't get me as far as I reread the same paragraph at least 5 times and still had no idea what I had just read. Renee Sindelbach, I heard the lady say. Oh wow, she got my last name correct, was what I thought to myself. I let the front desk know that Eric was on his way and please let him back. I had to get my height and weight again. I really don't know why they wouldn't let me tell them this information. Probably because I would lie. I was trying to take it all in on my way back to my room. There were so many rooms with doors closed. Did that mean other patients were in those rooms as well? There I was, sitting in this room, looking at the artwork and family pictures on the wall. Pictures, I was guessing, were of Dr. H and her family. All the while, I was waiting for someone, anyone, to come in, clap their hands, and say, it's all a joke. You've done pretty well. It's time to wake up and go home. This bad dream is over, and you handled it pretty well. Well, no one ever came in to tell me that. Dr. H, my oncologist, came in and started going over the very basic stuff until Eric got there. I was not really sure what all she had said. I did think to myself that she was my girl. She stomped around her office in killer 5-inch heels that you could hear coming down the hall a few doors away. She was a tiny little thing, but something within her and I clicked right away. Eric arrived a few minutes later, and now it was time to get to the meat of the matter. What were my options from here? Dr. H was great. She was very to the point, but in a kind way. She didn't beat around the bush, which is fine with me. At this point, all I wanted was just needing to know what we were dealing with, so I knew what was on the table. Here is what we know now. I had my blood drawn to have it tested for DNA mutation. If it came back positive, there was a high likelihood that I would have a double mastectomy and possibly my ovaries taken out. The reason behind this was if I did have the mutation, there was a 90% chance of breast cancer reoccurrence and a 96% chance of ovarian cancer. All I could think at this point was, what the F? Who started talking about ovarian cancer? I was here for breast cancer. If I didn't have this mutation, we would think about starting chemo before doing my lumpectomy. As Dr. H kindly put it, she was afraid that divot my breast would have if we did the lumpectomy right away in the beginning, with the tumor being as large as it was, would leave a little bit of a mark. If my cancer was estrogen driven, I would be on medicine to suck the estrogen out of my body. Oh, I'm sure that would be an interesting hormonal roller coaster for everyone to deal with. There was a whole other slew of options that we could have been looking at. But before I could pick out of the big black box and pull out my prize of what I actually did have, I had to become a human lab rat. I was getting a PT scan and bone scan tomorrow. She said she had no reason to believe the cancer was elsewhere in my body, but she wanted to get all the facts before starting anything. Then, sometime next week, I would get a biopsy of the cancer. And then wham! We were hit with something that was in the back of our minds but hadn't really talked about. She was talking about me seeing a fertility doctor. I was so confused at this point. All I could think to myself was, why would I need to see a fertility doctor? We got pregnant so easily the first time around. Now, with cancer in the mix, depending on what type of cancer I had, there was a possibility my baby-making days were over. Sitting there trying to process all this, nothing made much sense. I am not sure if I am denial or what, but I didn't cry. I was all cried out. And when I did talk about it, I felt like I talked about it so matter-of-factly. I'm sure one day it will hit me like a ton of bricks what is going on, and that no, this is not a 2-week-long bad dream. I was here in the middle of it, of my new reality, and I would deal with it like I had dealt with anything else in life. Look it in the eyes and deal with it. I hope you all enjoyed this chapter from my book, and remember to visit me at reneesindelbach.com to check out my artwork and purchase my book from Amazon. There are links all at Renee, ReneeSendelbach.com. Hope y'all have a great day. Talk to you soon.